Hey everybody, today we're going to look at sketching lines, and I'm going to show you how to do that on a couple of ways. We're going to start with a plain piece of paper and sketch some lines. If you notice again, I've got just a regular wooden pencil. The point on it is not exceptionally sharp. It's been sharpened, but I've sort of flattened it down just a little bit because again, a softer wooden lead, a softer pencil, okay, so softer lead, will make a better line, it'll make a darker line, and a little bit wider. Now, you don't want it to get too thick on you, but it's always good to have a soft lead. So these are the two pieces of equipment that we need to sketch with no matter what. A piece of paper and a pencil. Other things we can have is an eraser. It really comes in handy. I always keep one close by. And then I also keep some extra paper around to use maybe as a straight edge or something like that, or something that I can draw with if I need to. So it's always handy to have, but our primary tools are the paper and the pencil. So when we go to sketch a straight line, there is a couple of methods of doing this. When we sketch, we can either sketch a continuous line or we can sketch in short dashes. Now I sketch in a continuous line. So when we sketch, what do we focus on? Well, we're going to start our line right here. And if you notice, I drew, and I'm going to make this a little bit darker so you can see it, I drew a little dash. I did not draw a dot. I did that on purpose because you don't want a dot on the end of your line when you get done. If we draw dashes and work from the end points of the dashes, then when we get done, we'll cover them up. So let's say I want my line to go to right there. Okay, so I want to go from the outside edge of this dash to the outside edge of this dash. Now what I'm going to do, I'm not going to focus on my pencil. I'm going to start here because I'm right-handed. I'm going to go to here. And when I go to here, there's where I'm ending up at. I want to focus on the end point of the line where I'm going to. So I'm going to go right across here. This is where I'm going to draw at. And now I'm going to look at the end point of my line. And I get a pretty straight line. Okay, by doing that. So your hand will follow your eyes if you do it correctly. So now if I want to draw a vertical line, let's say I want to draw a vertical line from here down to here. So I'm going to focus here. I'm going to start here. Remember, we always pull a pencil. Okay, so I'm going to go right down through here is what I'm going to do. Okay, so I'm going to come down. I'm going to look at the end point where I'm going to. Pretty good line. Okay, I'm going to come over here and do the same thing. Now, I want the line over here to be the same length as that one. So I'm going to take another piece of paper, and I'm going to tear me an edge off of it. Remember, it's talking about a trammel? Well, that's what this is. We're using a trammel, and I'll spell it for you. T-R-A-M-M-E-L, trammel. We're using a trammel, which is a piece of paper, as a gauge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to lay my piece of paper down, and I could use the very end of it. The big thing is you want straight edges on your trammels. I can't use this edge or this edge. I can't use these two. I've got to use this one or this one. So I could use the very end point, or I could come up in the middle and mark both points. So let's do that. Let's come up in the middle and let's mark that end point, and let's mark that end point. Okay, so there we go. There's my length. Now I'm going to come out here. The big thing is I want to make sure that I'm square again. So right there. Okay, so now I'm going to draw me another dash there and another dash there. Now I'm going to connect here. I'm looking at this point. So I draw straight down, looking at the point that I'm going to. And now those two lines are the same length. Now I'm just going to draw from here to here. I don't need to draw dashes because I've got endpoints to look at. So I'm going to go straight across the page. So I'm going to go across, I'm going to look at my endpoint, and I get another pretty good straight line. And this is on plain paper. It's even easier using grid paper. Okay, so those are horizontals and verticals. Well, what if I want to draw an angled line? Well, if I wanted to draw a 45-degree line out of this corner, well, what I would do is I would take that 90 and I would cut it in half. So I want this side and this side about equal. Okay, well, how about a 30-60? Well, a vertical line, a horizontal line. Now I'm going to eyeball it in. I want it into about thirds. So I'm going to do that. I'm going to do that. And we want all three of these to be about equal. Because this is 30 degrees from here to here, from here to here, is 60 degrees, and of course all the way up is 90. Same thing over here. This one's 45, this one's 45, and it all adds up to 90. Okay? So that's how we do those lines. So sketching lines, like I said, pretty simple method. Again, if you notice, I draw solid lines. Some people will draw short dashes. They'll draw a dash, they'll pick their pencil up, they'll draw another dash, they'll pick their pencil up, they'll draw another dash. Okay? And they'll do that. But the key is, a lot of times you get these little overlap marks. Okay? Not real fond of those. I can live with the big thing. You don't want this. You don't want a line going all different directions and saying, oh, well, that's a straight line. No, that's got all these little curly cues on it. So we don't want to do that if we can help it. Okay? So that's how we're going to draw straight lines. So let's take that and let's put it into practice. Okay? So I'm going to make it easier on us. I'm going to bring us in a piece of grid paper. Boy, this makes it easy when we do this. So what are we going to draw? Well, I'm going to show you. Here are the assignments that we're going to be starting with. You're going to be drawing the geometric grid shapes. Okay? You're going to be drawing those. And what we're going to do is we're going to put all 6 of these shapes, the square, the triangle, the hexagon, the octagon, and the trapezoid and the pentagon will all fit on this one page. Notice my page is horizontal. Okay? We typically work horizontal unless I tell you otherwise. All right? Now, remember, we're using 1/2 inch grid spacing. It says so right here. Well, now if we count the blocks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. And then we count these blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. So the great part about this grid paper that I'm going to be using is that what I've got here translates directly to here. So on the first drawing, we're not going to worry about centering as much as we are just getting the shapes right. So where would we start that square? Well, think about it. It comes in 2 blocks and down 2 blocks to that corner. And then that square is 4 blocks each direction at that point. So I'm going to come in 2 blocks and down 2 blocks and lay out my square. It goes right there and right there. It goes down 4 blocks. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It goes down to right here. Okay, it goes 4 over. 1, 2, 3, 4. I'll slide this up so you can see it a little bit. And then back up 4 because it's a square. Okay, so there it is. Notice I laid it out before I ever started drawing it. Now I'm going to go back in and I'm going to draw it in. Again, I draw solid lines. And there's our square. Nice, thick, dark lines, okay? You don't have to shade them in like these are shaded in on these shapes. You can if you want to, but you don't have to, okay? Now, the triangle is next. Well, we need to figure out where's the triangle located at. Well, look at the bottom of the square. It lines up with the bottom of the triangle. There's 1 block between them. So my triangle starts right there at that point. And then we count how wide the triangle is. Starting at this corner, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 6 blocks wide. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It goes to there. Okay? So there's the bottom of my triangle. Now, how tall is my triangle? Here's where a lot of people mess up. They'll make the triangle the same height as the square, but notice the triangle is 1 block taller. This is an equilateral triangle. 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up. So, dead center, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We're going to there, okay? Now, how do we draw that angled line? Well, this is the little tricky part that you've got to do. We have what's called muscle memory. If I take my hand, and one thing, don't draw with your wrist, okay? Lock your wrist in place and draw with your arm, okay? I'm moving my arm at my elbow and at my shoulder when I do this. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to show my hand this motion. I'm going to go back and forth from the end point to the end point several times. Now I'm going to focus on the end point at the top when I get ready to draw. Now I'm going to lay my pencil down. I'm going to look at the end point at the top. And I got a pretty straight line. That's not bad. Okay. Now I'm going to do the same thing this time. Now remember, I'm going to pull my pencil down this way. Okay. Now I'm going to look at my line. I'm going to look at my end point at the bottom. And if everything works right, hey, look at there. Pretty straight line. I didn't get the bow in it like a lot of people will. Okay. And then lastly, of course, I'm going to come in and I'm going to finish up my bottom line. Okay? So there's my triangle. Now, if you get a line that's a little thin, you can always go back over it, darken it up a little bit if you want to. Okay? And it looks pretty good. Another piece of equipment that I keep handy just in case, by the way, is I do keep a sharpener for my pencil in case I start getting a little too dull or I break the lead. Now, once I sharpen a pencil, one of the first things I do is I keep that scrap of paper handy. Again, I'll come back and I'll sort of dull down the point just a little bit. Okay? All right, so our next one is the hexagon. 2 blocks over along the bottom, so right there. It's 2 blocks wide. It goes to right there. Let's go ahead and draw that line. Let's go ahead and get it out of the way. Okay? Now, notice, from this corner, straight up, we're going straight up the line 1, 2, and over 1. So I'm here, 1, 2, and over 1, right there. So I'm going to go right here. And it's the very same on the other side. 2 up, 1 out. 2 up, 1 out, right there. Now, look what happened here. I got a double line because I tried to go back over it. That's where that eraser really comes in handy. We'll erase it out, come back and put it back in. Okay? Just that easy. Now, 1 in, 2 up. 1 in, 2 up. Right there. It all lines up. Goes from there to there. 1 in, 2 up. It's going to go from there to there. Okay? And then we close here. Okay? So there's that one. So that's the first 3. Then, of course, we can do the octagon and the trapezoid. If you notice from the square, it's 1, 2, 3 blocks down to that corner. So right there. But notice here, 1 block in, 2 blocks down. 1 block in, 2 blocks down. So that corner, it's a 45, goes right there. Okay? So that's important to note. So we've got that one. Then it's 2 blocks down, 2 blocks over. Cut the diagonal again. 1 block down. That diagonal, by the way, is a 45 because we're cutting a square in half. 1 block up. Cut this one off and go across here like this. Okay, so there's our octagon. Now our trapezoid. From here, it's 2 blocks over. It starts right there. And then it goes over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 blocks. Count it again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it goes to right there. So I'm going to go ahead and put my bottom line in. If you get off your line just a little bit, you can fix it. Okay? It's the same height, but notice it's 1 block over and 4 blocks tall. So 1 block over, 1, 2, 3, 4, right there. Again, I'm going to look at my end point and draw my line. This one's the same way. 1 block in, 4 blocks up, right there. Okay? And then we'll close the top. My pencil lid broke. Okay, let's fix that real quick. Here's a secret that you may not know. If you drop a wooden pencil, the lead inside of it is soft. And if you drop it, you may break it all the way up the pencil, believe it or not. And I may even have to change pencils on this one because this one's in pretty bad shape. Oh, I finally got back down to it. We'll be okay. Okay, the last one we're going to draw is the pentagon. Now the pentagon is a little funny. If you notice here, on the pentagon, one block over from the trapezoid, so it starts right there, 3 blocks wide. Let's go ahead and draw that line in there. Okay, let's go ahead and put it in. So there it is. Now, notice here, not quite a block out and up into the 3rd block. So not quite a full block out and up into the 3rd block. 1, 2, 3. So right about, oh, I don't know, how about there? It looks like about the same place as it is on that piece of paper. And I'm going to draw that line. So see, I'm drawing this one without having the grid to actually draw right on the grid line. But I've located this point. It did not go all the way over to this line, and it's almost to the top. This one is exactly the same thing, just opposite. So I want to get it about in the same place on the other side. And again, right about there. Okay? Now, dead center of this block, look, 1, 2, 3, 4, not quite 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, not quite 5. Dead center right there. These points connect. Okay, so let's try that. And again, don't use your wrist, use your arm. If you notice that line got a little crooked on me. Well, okay, that's fine. We can erase it. Not a problem. Now let's put it back. Anytime you repair a line, repair the entire line. Don't just try to put back part of it. Okay? So, that line there could be a little darker. It'd look nicer if it was. So there's our sketches. Our first drawing. See? It matches. So the last thing we have to do is down here at the bottom, we've got to fill out what's called a title block. Now, if you're using grid paper that you buy at the store, you won't have this. But what I want you to do is I want you to use your grid lines, especially if you've got 1/4 inch grid lines. Make your letters inside the grid, okay? So what you're going to put is you're going to put your name here. So like my name is Darren Atkins. And notice I'm printing all capital letters. Okay? So Darren Atkins there. Then, what I'm going to do here in the middle is I'm going to put the name of the drawing. Now, I'm going to let you cheat on this one, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to name these real easy. We're going to abbreviate this one. Now, this is going to be the only ones we get to abbreviate. The rest of them we'll spell out. So I'm going to put G-O with a period, and then C-O-N-S, Geocons, okay? The last thing you put over here, this one is where we're actually going to put our school. Okay? So, tell you what, let's do the date here instead. The date that we do the drawing. So our date on this one, today's date, is the 31st. So we're going to put 8 slash. Notice the slash is a little bit bigger than the lines. 31 slash 20. Okay? My lead broke again. So there we go. So that drawing's complete. Okay? That's how we draw straight lines. Now, in the next drawing that we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and bring over our next drawing. And our next drawing is going to be the arrowheads. So how do we draw the arrowheads? Well, this time, and after we start the arrowheads from that point on out, all of our drawings will be centered. So what that means is we've got to use our paper and get everything exactly in the middle. So the geometric constructions are the only ones that we're not going to center up on. So let's look at our arrowheads. Let's draw us a little bitty box and get it laid out. So the very bottom of our box that our arrowheads lay in, look, here's the bottom corner. Here's the outside edge. So right here is the bottom of our arrowheads. You always want to start with a box when you lay stuff out if you can, when we're centering up, okay? So now let's find the upper right-hand corner. Here's the farthest point up. Here's the farthest point to the right. There's it, okay? Now we can just triangulate. We can bring this line all the way across till we hit the line that we hit on the far outside edge. Put a little mark there and do the same thing up here. Okay? So now you can see we've got our box. Now how big is our box? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Hey, even numbers, that's great. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 by 16. Remember, this paper, I'll lay this down here so we can see it. This paper is 20 blocks wide. Now, it's 14 blocks tall. If you notice, I've got an X in the middle of my paper. If you want to sort of do this, this will help you lay out, okay? It'll make a difference for you. If you've got regular graph paper, find the center of your paper, put your little X in it, okay? So, if we're 8 blocks tall, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So we're 8 blocks tall. And we're 16 blocks wide. To get it dead center, we need to go 4 up and 4 down from the center. If we're 16 blocks wide, we need to go 8 blocks left and 8 blocks right. Okay? So I'm going to start here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and lay out. So out here's my outside edge. I'm going to put me a little mark, and then come out the same distance here and put me a little mark. Now, if you notice, I did that really quick. The reason why, remember, this paper's 20 wide, this paper's 20 wide. So this is 2 blocks in and 2 blocks in. I can use that left to right on this paper. It works. Okay? Otherwise, you'll have to count. Now, 4 up, 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, right there. 4 down, 1, 2, 3, 4, right there. Now let's triangulate it. So right here is my outside corners. Notice I'm just sort of laying out my box. Now there will be some drawings that will actually go just a little bit outside of our box, and that's okay. But we'll know which drawings we're going to do that on. Okay? So there's my box for my arrowheads. So now when I start drawing, I can just start laying out. The best place I've found to start this drawing is right here at this point. Because look, from my bottom corner, it's up 2, right there. And it's into, right there. It's a 45-degree line. So I'm going to draw that right through the corner and stop. And then 2 up, 2 in. 2 up, 2 in, right there. Okay? And then it's 1 up to the body of the arrow, to the shaft. Okay? And then, now here's the part you've got to be careful with. Notice here, it doesn't go all the way back to here. It's 2 back from that. So if I come back 2, now it's going to go to right there. So I'm going to come across. I'm going to do this in short dashes this time so you can see what I'm doing. Notice I can still keep a good straight line by doing this, okay? Then it's 2 tall, 2 blocks tall. And then the very same thing here. Again, if you notice, I'm keeping my wrist straight and I'm drawing using my arm. Okay, so there's my first arrow. Now my second one, look, if I come straight up, that point is directly above that 1 block right there. Okay? So what we've got on this one now, as far as our layout goes, is it's 2 blocks over on the diagonal, 2 blocks back on the diagonal. It's just a mirror image of what we did before. 1 block down, 1 block up. And look, the end of the arrow lines up with that arrow. Same thing here. It lines up. So I can just come up here. There's 1 block between them. And I know it's 2 blocks tall. So if I did this just right and did my layout perfect, we'll keep our fingers crossed and hope I did. That should be 2 blocks tall. Then again, draw my shaft of my arrow over. Shaft of my arrow over. And there's my arrows centered up on the page. Pretty cool, huh? We will call these just arrows. You don't have to call them direction arrows. So again, your name here, arrows, and the date. Okay? That's how we'll do those. So see, it's going pretty easy. But now here's the thing. Once we get past those, so what we're going to do, your assignment, and this is on the haiku page, you're going to draw the geometric shapes. You're going to draw the arrows. That's page 2. Okay? We're going to draw the jet, and we can just put jet for this one. You don't have to put jet trainer. Now again, from the nose to the tail, 16 blocks, 8 and 8, just like the arrows. From the center of the jet up to the center of the jet down, it's 8 blocks tall, 4 and 4, just like the arrows. You'll have the exact same box. So my box will lay out here and here, here and here, here and here, and here and here. There's my box. Now, if you notice what they've done, these wings are symmetrical. So, if I come 6 blocks back and 4 blocks down to find that point, I better go 6 blocks back and 4 blocks up to find that point. They hit in the middle. They're not exactly the measurement I just told you. But that's how you'll do that, okay? So make that jet symmetrical. Whatever you do to this engine, do the same thing up here. Whatever you do to these flaps, you better do to these flaps here. Make sure that the cowl, which is the hood or the dome that the pilot sits under, make sure that the cowl is done right. Make sure it's centered, okay? So you'll do that one. Then, after we get that one done, we're going to do the Jeep, okay? Now, here's the one I was telling you about. What do we do if we're not quite centered? Because, notice something. This is about 1 1/3 blocks back to the bumper. This back tire, spare tire is what it is. This spare tire hits right on the line. Well, again, if you're using our grid paper, and if you're not using this grid paper, it's fine, y'all. Just remember, where I'm counting individual blocks, if you've got 1/4 inch grid, you're going to count double. So I would go 1, 2, 3, 4. If I was using 1/4 inch grids, it's just half as big a grid is all it is. Okay? So to lay this one out, the other thing I have to find out is my height. Well, notice that my tire sits right on the line. That's important. Notice my center point. This is really important. The center point for all 3 of these circles is right on a crosshair. That's really important. We want to use that. But then notice that the top of the windshield sticks up a little bit. So if we count from the bottom of the tires to the windshield, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and this sticks up just a little bit. So about 8 1/2, give or take. Let's use that 8, and we'll let this stick up a little bit high. This sitting on this line and this being right on a crosshair is more important than this part is. So you pick which one's more important. The crosshair being on the line is going to make it easier to draw. So we're going to lay out here. Okay? And now, what I want to do is I want to take my Jeep and I want to start with the wheels. Anytime I draw a vehicle, I typically start with the wheels. So notice, this paper being 20 blocks wide, this paper being 20 blocks wide, I'm going to count from this edge. 1, 2, 3, 4 gets me to the center of the wheel. 1, 2 up gets me to the exact dead center. So, remember we said we were going to use that 8. So if we come down, 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to let this line here be the line that the wheels set on. I'm going to actually come in here and I'm going to mark it just a little bit. It's going to be hard for you to see, but I'm going to have it marked on here so I know where it's at. Okay? So again, I'm going to come out this line, start at the edge, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2. Right here is my center point for all 3 circles. Now this one on this end, counting on the line the wheels set on, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. So starting from here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1, 2. Right here. Here's the center point for my back tire. Now what we've got is we've got a tire, we've got a rim, and we've got a hub. Here's how we do the Trammell method to draw a circle. Again, I'm going to give me a piece of paper. I want a good straight edge. that tire from the center down is 2 blocks tall. Well, on this paper, remember, these blocks are taller. See right here, 2 blocks tall? These blocks are a whole lot shorter than these blocks here. So you can't copy them. You can't lay this underneath the paper and copy them. It'll be too small. What I want to do is I want to mark 2 blocks. Okay, from the center down, 2 blocks. I can go ahead and mark 2 blocks up. That's good. Okay. Now, the rim is about 1.25 blocks. I'm just going to sort of eyeball that right about there. Okay. Notice I only marked that on one side. And then the hub is about 1/2 block, give or take. Okay, so there we go. Got them all 3 marked. See them? So now I'm going to take my piece of paper, and if you notice, I lay it where I can get it all in the middle. I want to mark my center point first, and I'm actually going to put a big C for center. Then I'm going to come right here, and I'm going to put me a dash right beside where I've got that dash for the hub. Put me an H. Put me a dash right beside where I've got the rim marked. And I'm going to put me a dash where I've got the tire marked. Okay. Now watch this. I'm going to turn this upside down. This is kind of cool. Now remember, my tire mark I already put up there. But now I can transfer that rim mark back to here, that hub mark back to here, and I can do the very same thing on my trammel again. Down here is my hub. Here is my rim. Watch this. I'm going to write upside down so it matches. Okay? And then here is my tire. Okay? So now my trammel is marked both directions. So what I can do, the key is I've got to come back to my center point every time. Now here's the thing. Only do one circle at a time. You can't get all 3 done at the same time. So I'm going to mark here, and I'm going to mark here beside my tire. I'm going to turn it, come back to my center point. I'm going to mark here, and I'm going to mark here. And I'm going to keep doing this. The more marks that I put, the more round it's going to be. That's really, really important. Just keep walking my way around. Like I said, the most important thing, come back to that center point every single time. And don't let your spaces get too big between your marks. If you do, and see there how it slid a little bit, I'm going to double check. So there we go. And now when I come back in to darken this in, I'm going to do it really light to start with. Make sure you don't draw straight lines between these marks. They need to be curved. Sorry about bumping the camera. Didn't mean to. And now I can go and darken it in. Remember, all I used was a piece of paper and a pencil, and I got a pretty good circle, didn't I? I would do the exact same thing for the hub and for the rim. Okay. Now that I've got that laid out, now I can lay my bumper out. So here's my center line. My bumper hits, somewhere right in here. It hits just about on the line right there, so right about there. It goes up to about, right about there. Okay, and it comes out here a pretty good ways. It comes out here about that far, almost a whole block. Then it turns up, vertical, almost up to that line. It turns back, and then there's this little sweep of a curve, and it needs to die into that mark right there. And we've got another straight line right there. Look, there's my bumper. Okay? The front of my Jeep sits somewhere right in about, let's say here. Okay? And it goes up, it crosses one line, crosses another, and goes up into the third about that far. Okay? And this is important. If a line is vertical on the drawing, try to keep it vertical on the page. Now notice that line got a little thick because I leaned my pencil. So I'm going to erase that. I'm going to do it again. There, that definitely looks better. Okay? And then I'll come back and I'll lay out everything else. And my windshield, like I said, this is the big thing. It's going to be up in. So if I come back here, remember, this was our bottom line. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That windshield is going to stick up into this area in here. Okay? It's going to be up into that 9th block. But laying out the tires using those center marks were more important. Now, I always have students say, can I do something different to my drawings? You don't want to draw that back tire. That's fine. But you need to modify the Jeep. You can put a hard top on it. You can put a lift kit under it. I've had people draw 50 caliber machine guns mounted in the back. Whatever you do, make it look realistic. If you decide to get rid of the tire, that's not changing it, just getting rid of it. You have to modify it if you do it. I've had people put bucket seats in it, put doors on it, you name it. Put U.S. Army, whatever. You can do whatever you want to. You can do the same thing on the jet. You can have flames coming out the back, make it an Air Force jet. I don't care, whatever you want to do. Okay? So there's the next drawing. So that's the first three that we're going to, first four we're going to do. So again, we're going to do geometric constructions. We're going to do the arrows. We're going to do the jet. And we're going to do the Jeep. Once we get that one done, we're going to do the drill. Okay? I always start here. Because look, this sticks up in, see how this sits right on that line? So again, I'll let this part of it stick up. So now I can count down my lines here. So I'm going to start with this line here because it lines up with the chuck, the part that holds the bit. So I'm going to start right there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and down a little bit. So I'm going to use 10. So I'm going to go 5 blocks up from center, 5 blocks down. I'll draw a little bit up here and a little bit down here. Now left to right, I'm right on the line here, 2 in. Here, remember, if you're using the 20 block grid paper, it just barely sticks back into this block here, okay? But get all this right. This is a rectangle. Don't have one line going way up here and one line going way down here. These lines are parallel, okay? So you'll do the drill. Again, you can put Makita or DeWalt or whatever you want to on it. Then we'll do the sailboat. The sailboat is the one drawing that we're going to take our paper and we're going to turn it vertical instead of horizontal because it's taller than it is wide. From the bottom, I mean, if we start from the top, if we start at this line, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. It sticks just barely above there and just barely below here. So really it takes part of 18 blocks total. But if you'll lay out 16, going this way, you'll have 2 blocks up here. You'll draw a little bit up in here, and you come down here, and you'll be down in here a little bit. So you'll be up and below just a little bit on the sailboat, okay? So we'll do those 2. Then we're going to do the open-end wrench, and again, you can just call it the wrench. Be careful with this. You can't use a trammel for this. Notice, we have to plot. Where does it cross each line at to get these points on here, okay? The sides of the jaws of the wrench have to be parallel. Think about it. If you're taking a nut off of a bolt, they can't be flared out. They've got to be parallel. Get these points right. Get these in the right place, okay? This is actually, to me, the hardest one of the bunch, okay? And then the last one we'll do is the sports coupe. This is, again, by the way, I have people put Craftsman or they'll come put Mac tools or something like that on that, anything you want to do. The car, this is a really fun car to draw. I have people do all sorts of stuff. I have them put different wheels on it, rims. I have them make it a convertible. But now if you do the convertible, you got to show the seat in there. Do a different spoiler. They may do a hood scoop. Just a little bit of everything. But it's still, we still need to see the basic shape of the car. Okay? So let's go through it one more time, what we've got to do. I know I've hit you with a lot today, but we're going to go through it one more time. So we're going to start with the geometric shapes. They all fit on one page. Then we'll do the arrows. Okay? Centered up on the page. From this point on, everything is centered on the page, no matter what we're drawing. Okay? Then we'll do the jet on a piece of paper by itself. So we're up to 3 pieces of paper so far. Then we'll do the Jeep. That's 4 pieces of paper. And we'll do the drill. That's 5 pieces of paper. The sailboat, that's 6. The wrench, that's 7. Don't forget the sailboat is vertical now. The wrench, and then the car. So you've got 8 drawings, okay? What I want you to do when you turn these in is I want you to lay out 4 across and then 4 more across and take a picture of all of them. Don't take individual pictures of each one. Take a picture of all of them. And when you do that, then that's the picture you're going to send me. You're going to upload that file, okay? Because I can zoom in and see what I need to see by doing that. All right? So, that's your grid sketches. That's what you're going to do. If you have any questions, you can contact me by email or you can contact me on the Remind app. Those of you that are new to the class, if you will get in touch with me by my email, and my email, by the way, if you don't have it, it's on the information page. But it's atkinsd@k12.nc.us, okay? That's that. Now, the Remind app, if you will text to the number 81010, okay? If you'll text to that number this code, if you'll text DFT, the number 1 dash fall 2020. If you will text that message to that number, you will be in my Remind app. Okay? So that's the 2 ways you can get in touch with me if you need me. If you need anything, give me a shout. If not, have a great day. Be sure and hit your deadlines. Get everything turned in on time.